Choose your character.
Okay. Okay, let's do it.
Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Working Class Music. I'm one of your hosts, Player 1 or Player 2, Jason Mays.
And I'm Nelson, Ready Player 1.
Should make a movie called Ready Player 2.
No, that movie doesn't need a sequel.
Okay, outside of that, that's our pop culture reference. There might be more. On this week's episode, we're doing a good old offset shootout between the Player Series JazzMaster and the Player 2 JazzMaster.
So back in 2018, Fender introduced the Player Series, a line that replaced the previous Made in Mexico standard. The OG Player Series JazzMaster was offered in a variety of colors and came stock with a set of Player Series Alnico 2 humbucking pickups, and most notably a Paul Ferro fretboard.
However, a few years later, Chicago Music Exchange brought their own take with quite a few FSR versions featuring notable changes. Some of those changes include exclusive finishes, AV65 pickups, vintage vibrato spacing, and a four-way switch for an in-series position. The Player Series 2 JazzMaster is new for 2024 and introduces a ton of improvements over its predecessor. Some of these improvements include the return of a rosewood fretboard, rolled finger edges, new classic gear tuners, Alnico 5 Player Series JazzMaster pickups, and new finishes currently exclusive to the Player 2 lineup.
So let's compare the two, and afterwards we'll give our thoughts and impressions. So, on to the
Sounds. All right, Player 1. Player Series 2.
Alright, this is the Player 1. That's the Player 2.
Yeah.
Ah, well, ready, the Player 1. Okay, definitely got some thoughts on those.
Okay.
All right, so
Final thoughts, first impressions.
yes. So, you know, I hate to just come off super simple about it, but I'm a simple guy. But just off the bat, it makes so much sense why they made the Player 2. I mean, they're both kind of like tinny, but the Player 2 is more bearable, you know what I mean? And as you get into like the bridge pickup and everything, it loses that completely and gets a lot more full than the Player 1. You could hear it.
Of course I heard it.
Usually I'll call a spade and let somebody know if it's just very surface level changes. If you have the first iteration of it, why spend the money on the next iteration of it? But this is a situation where it's really worth it. It's night and day. These are two different JazzMasters. The Player 2 series really just kind of levels up on all the ideas that the Player 1 had. They just really stepped it up. And
Oh my god.
it's worth it. Part with your money for that guitar.
For those of you unaware, this is Nelson's first experience playing either or, so this is probably the most honest first impression you're going to get out of any video you watch today.
Yeah, I never worked at
Yeah.
okay? Or
So-
big box music store.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, so my thoughts are going to be similar to Nelson's. I've had this for a little bit of time and I've been familiar with the Player 1 in the Chicago Music Exchange version, and the reason I did that is because they're more similar, because the old school Player 1 does have humbuckers where these have the AV65. I'm going to start with the neck. The neck I prefer on the Player 2. It's super comfortable.
Yeah, it feels better in the hand. It's chunkier.
Yeah, the rolled fret edges feels super good going up and down the neck. So, you know, you don't have to run into any fret sprouts. And the rosewood. I love rosewood, you know.
Okay.
And this is a dark slab of rosewood. Going from there, we have the pickups, which admittedly there is a bias. I'm not a fan of the pure vintage 65 pickups.
I can see why.
Yeah, never have been. To me, like Nelson said, they're a bit too tinny. Yeah. However, both being Alnico 5, they both encapsulate the 60s vibe, but I think this does it a little bit better. I haven't taken the pickups out just yet to see if they're overwound, but I suspect they might be. We're gonna jump from there to the vibrato assembly, and the thing is, here's the thing.
What I will tell you,
I'll tell you why.
I'm gonna say this.
But I can also tell you.
Listen, I'm telling you right now.
Here's the thing.
I'll tell you what.
Let me tell you something.
And the thing is,
I'll tell you right now.
Man, I'll tell you what.
I'm gonna say this and get this out of the way. Obviously, this is not a vintage traditional JazzMaster, and this isn't intended to be. This is intended to be a modern take on the JazzMaster, and so I'm going to judge it as such. Don't know if you saw the previous video, but my opinion still stands. This easily surpasses previous contemporary JazzMasters, such as the first American Professional, the original Player Series, the Classic Player, the Squier J. Mascis, the American Performer, the Modern Player, the Blacktop, and yes, the Noventa. I think this is the best modern iteration of the JazzMaster we've had in a long time. Obviously, you have the closer bridge placement, which is going to be preference, because it comes with the classic Mustang bridge. Like with the Player 1, you have the classic JazzMaster bridge, which everybody hates. Just get that out of the way. Everybody does hate that bridge.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But the Mustang bridge is an improvement. Yeah. But this is not routed for a rhythm circuit. So you're going in knowing that. However, the Chicago Music Exchange is routed for a rhythm circuit if you want to add it. And it has the correct placement. So there's that. But I think at that point it goes out the window because you're missing the point of the Player Series.
Yeah, but I also feel like even though it's not wired for a rhythm circuit, you're not missing anything.
Yeah. I can't judge this guitar for lacking a rhythm circuit when it wasn't intended to have the rhythm circuit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say they're negatives. They're not really negatives because, again, that's not what this guitar is intended for. But especially seeing these are staying the same price, I believe around $829, and you get all these upgraded features. And I haven't even started on the finish yet. Like, the finish to me is beautiful. So good. And I've seen the other finishes, and they are top notch.
What are the other finishes?
I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. But
all right, well, here's some B-roll of those finishes.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, I think it's a winner. If I had to choose between the two, obviously I'd go Player 2. I do think they're intended for different people, but there is a bit of overlap. And I think the Player 1, for me, that would be a mod platform.
Yeah, I would definitely see how people can mod that. I think the Player 2, it's intended to be a pick up and go guitar.
Yeah, and that's what it does really well.
Yeah.
It's a pick up and go to the point you don't have to mod. I think it's perfect for the people that are just looking for a JazzMaster, or the people that want to add a solid, ready to go gigging instrument.
It's a great jumping off point.
And honestly, I think that is the most valid opinion, because you are just now playing these and you don't have a JazzMaster.
No, I don't.
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around.
I think the Player 2 JazzMaster is perfect if you're offset curious and if you don't want all the accoutrements that makes up a JazzMaster.
All the complicated stuff.
For me, I like it, but I can accept either or.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, with that said, I think we've done enough chatting.
Yes.
It's time to close this out.
Yeah, let's close it out. So, we were talking about JazzMasters. Let's talk about JazzMasters in the comments. We'll keep it simple. In the comments below, let us know your favorite current JazzMaster.
It could be anyone, anything.
Could be any of them.
You know what to do. Like, subscribe, comment.
All that stuff. You know the deal.
Patreon, merch, affiliate links,
Boom.
all of that. So with that, laters.
Adios.
I always feel like I'm ripping off Mitch Gallagher.
Ow.
Just how he talks, like.
Oh. Was that the dude whose office we were in?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, where have I heard that name?
I ran into him at NAMM, and it was just it was funny but semi awkward because he was like, I can see he was trying to figure out where he knew me from.
Yeah.